mediator, and she was always making sure that everything was gonna be smooth. And Mr. Dell, he took time off his work to meet us here with my contractor to make sure that we were doing things correctly. I don't see that happening in other cities. I network with other business owners in Gilbert, Scottsdale, and the way how this city is, it's very particular. They're really good because we're a small community, so we're family at the end of the day, I think, and that's how they treat you. They don't treat you just as a business owner. They care about you. They really care about your business. Like when at the moment you think, oh my God, how stressful. It's at the end of the day, you realize as a business owner, they're trying to protect you. And that's what I'm most grateful for.
Hey Maricopa, I'm Quinn Knoll, your Community Enrichment Director. We've had some great interest lately in an event that we announced called Concerts in the Park. And we thought this would be a great time to talk to you about what we're doing in general, the overall game plan for events in the city of Maricopa. So we're actually focused on 3 tiers of events. The first we call community events. These are smaller, more intimate events. They're largely covered by sponsorships, which is why we're able to bring them to you often for free. This is our Pecana Pumpkin Walk, our dive-in movies, our ribbon cuttings, State of the City, and now this Concert in the Park series that we're so excited to have you at. Our next tier is signature events. These are ones that you know, they've been around for our community for a long time and you love them. These are our Maricopa, our Great American Fourth, and our Copa cultural events. This is an opportunity for thousands of Maricopa residents to come out and get to know each other and enjoy a great time. The last tier is event tourism. We know a lot of people have been interested to see what's going to return after we kicked off this initiative last year with the 20th anniversary celebration and the Wild West Music Fest. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that yes, we will continue to explore this tier of event. And moving forward, we're going to be looking to fund it from the bed tax. This is money that the city collects through hotel stays that the state specifically designates must be spent on tourism. We know that Maricopans, they love an exciting show and amazing entertainment, and they don't always want to travel somewhere else to see it. We're going to look to bring that entertainment right here to your own backyard for you. It's also an opportunity to draw interest from outside of our community. People that come and visit, they spend their money here and they get a chance to see what Maricopa has to offer, all while boosting our local economy. And residents, they get to enjoy the show right along with them. Our goal is to help fill up our calendar throughout the year and create events that appeal to a wide range of residents of different ages and all backgrounds. So we're going to get things going on October 19th with that free Concert in the Park right here at Copper Sky. Join us from 5 to 7:30 for a beer yard, great food, and some amazing live music. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Hello, my name is Rodolfo Lopez. I'm the Development Services Director for the City of Maricopa, and today we're going to be introducing the city's new Ready, Set, Build program. With Ready, Set, Build, you gain access to pre-approved house plans for 2 floor plans and 3 different elevation designs at no cost. The elevations were designed with an aesthetic front porch charm to adhere to the adopted Heritage District design guidelines. But here's the best part. By utilizing our pre-approved plans, you'll save thousands of dollars on architectural fees and reviews. You'll find a piece of land, find a contractor, and get a permit. There is no waiting for any extra reviews as the plans are pre-approved. Ready, Set, Build is the first phase of our project, with plans to expand to offer options usable anywhere in the city and potentially for businesses as well. Contact us today to learn more and take the first step towards owning your piece of Maricopa.
At first I was thinking, hey, maybe 5 kids will sign up. Boom, one night, and it was completely booked. I had people texting me, hey, my kid's on the wait list. Can we make an exception? I'm like, oh my gosh, I never would have expected that. I've lived in Maricopa since I was born. I've lived through the city and I've seen what it has given me, and I'm also seeing what I can add to it, what I can make better for kids. So I'm thinking, okay, I grew up here. Looking back, what do I wish I had? This program is all about thinking creatively, innovate. That's my big thing. It's called Astro Innovators, and we're innovating through space.
I love science. Sketching our planet, moon, or asteroid out, I think that was my favorite part. I think Jaden did really good at preparing the class and doing different slides.
I like that he makes some funny jokes and stuff.
Yes.
It's so funny, and I just like that he's always having fun with us.
My mom found it on Facebook, I believe, and she asked me if I wanted to go to it, and I really did. So I decided to come every week and not miss any events.
I wish this happened. I wish the city did this. I wish we had this program. And then I kind of thought of it. I had a real value discovery one day, and I thought, hey, I can do that. I had first had a meeting with the assistant city manager, and I said, hey, I really want to be able to do something, and I have an idea, and let's do something with Legos. And we worked out a plan, sat down on my computer, and I spent hours just making the curriculum, really designing it from the top down of what I wanted to do with these kids. And I'm really grateful that I was able to get this real opportunity to build something that's completely mine. And I've learned a lot through this process. I've learned a lot about, what kids are really capable of. Where I feel the most satisfied and the most fulfilled is by engaging in public service, is by taking a group of kids and really engaging with them and teaching them and being a part of their lives. To be able to have a really strong community, everybody needs to be involved. We need contributors to be able to maintain Maricopa's vision to be a strong, thriving community. Don't wait to be in a position where it's easily accessible. It's never going to be easy. Get started now, make that impact.
I am Officer Pete Torres with the Maricopa PD Traffic Unit, and I am also a motor officer. Motor officers are on motorcycles throughout their shift. We enforce traffic throughout the city. Our goal is to reduce traffic collisions and to keep drivers safe on the road.
Just on a motorcycle, it's a different world. We can see a lot more. We don't have that whole vehicle, that frame obstructing our view from if we're looking left or right. We can maneuver around the city fairly easily. If there is traffic congestion, we can split lanes if needed or use the sidewalk safely, of course. It's a whole different game.
A couple of the major focuses that we have are school zones, also to reduce collisions while people are going to work in the morning, specifically. Try to reduce the number of impaired drivers that are on the road in the evening as well as the day. We're starting to see more in the day. So those are just some of the goals that we have. One of the things we do for school zone enforcement, particularly at the beginning of the year, is we try to do a joint task force with other agencies. We will ask outside agencies from Casa Grande, Pinell County, Gila River, sometimes Apache Junction, We will put out notices to them to see if we can enlist their help, and we will do a pretty heavy saturation if we can on the first day of school. We try to bring in as many motor officers as we can for that event because it is easier for us to sit on a sidewalk. The state of Arizona law allows us to position our motorcycles on sidewalks to where we can monitor those school zones a little bit easier than a car would be able to do. If I had to give one message, is to try to really pay attention to driving and to remember that it is a multitask event, that you're doing many things at one time, and to really pay attention so that the public can actually help us to reduce those collisions too.
The thing I love about events the most is the opportunity to provide experiences. It's something that my family enjoys to do. It's something that my wife and I and our daughter enjoy doing. It's really the premier opportunity for people to come together. My job is to coordinate, plan, and produce some of the city's exciting events, and I get the opportunity to work with local businesses to bring them out and put them in the
Bless this meeting. Bless all those that are assembled here. And God, we just give you thanks in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Join us for our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Monday, and thank you, Councilmember Manfredi. That'll take us to roll call.
Present.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here. Here. Thank you, Vanessa. All right, that moves us along to proclamations, acknowledgements, awards, and presentations. Tonight we have 3 different types of presentations. We first have the Veterans Proclamation, the Small Business Saturday Proclamation, and the MCLA, which is Maricopa Citizen Leadership Academy graduation, which is always very fun. So I'll start with the Veteran Proclamation. If the veterans would come forward, please. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Manfredi, settle down, settle down. All right, here we go. Whereas during National Veterans and Military Families Month, we recognize that our military and veteran families answer our nation's call to duty, and we recommit to doing right by their service and their sacrifice. And whereas to all mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters, spouses and partners, and loved ones who stand alongside our veterans and service members, you are the solid steel pine that bears up under every burden and the courageous heart that rises to every challenge. And whereas our nation has only one truly sacred obligation to prepare those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families while they are deployed and when they return home. Whereas our fighting force is the greatest in the world, in no small part because year after year and decade after decade, military and veteran families had their loved ones back. As a country, we owe it to these families to have their backs. This year, may we also recognize the bravery and dedication of our military and veteran families and work to repay the debt of gratitude we owe each of them. And now, therefore, I, Nancy Smith, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2024 as National Veterans and Military Families and call upon the people of Maricopa to share their appreciation with veterans and their families. Isn't that awesome? Thank you. You deserve all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You can stay down. Okay. All right, at this point, if you are a small business owner, I would like to invite you up for this proclamation. This is meant for all of our small business owners, our economic development department. Please come forward, and our Black Chamber, I think, is present also. So I'm happy to hear that. And yes, please come forward. So just one comment before we go into this proclamation. You've probably heard $400 million is how much the city of Maricopa loses to surrounding cities because people don't shop local. And that is very important to the city council. It's very important to our residents to understand that. But that number is now $1.3 billion of leakage. So just know that our economic development department, our staff, city council members, myself, we're all working to bring in as much business as possible, and we want to encourage you to make that leakage smaller by shopping local, especially during the holiday season. It's very, very important. This is the best season of the year, in my opinion, and so this is just a reminder to shop local, shrink that $1.3 billion that we spend elsewhere, and spend it here in the city of Maricopa. Whereas the City of Maricopa proudly celebrates the invaluable contribution of our local small businesses to the strength and vibrancy of our economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 34.7 million small businesses in the United States, which represents 97.7% of firms with paid employees, create 61% of net jobs since 1995, and employ 45.9% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. Smallest business is huge. It's important. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays within the local community, and each dollar spent at a small business generates an additional 48 cents in local economic activity as a result of employees and businesses purchasing local goods and services. My city manager shared a statistic with me. For every dollar spent in the city of Maricopa, it's multiplied 7 times turnover. So that $1, 7 times. So it's very, very important. Whereas in 2023, 59% of U.S. customers aware of Small Business Saturday chose to shop at or ate in a small independently owned retailer and restaurants on Small Business Saturday. And whereas the City of Maricopa is committed to supporting small businesses that drive job creation, fuel our local economy, and preserve the unique character of our community. Whereas the City of Maricopa passed Ordinance 18-09 in 2018 to prioritize vendors with an established physical presence in the City of Maricopa. And whereas the City of Maricopa spent over $13 million a year at local businesses directly supporting our economic growth. Whereas in 2019, the City of Maricopa became one of the only cities in the state to eliminate fees for business licenses, furthering support of our local entrepreneurs. Whereas the City Council has passed fiscally responsible budgets for many years, including 6 consecutive years of lowering primary property tax, benefiting both residents and small business owners. This is actually huge for small businesses. If you're building a business, and the lower you can make your property tax rate for businesses, the better it is. Whereas through its economic development initiatives, the City of Maricopa strives to create and promote a thriving economic environment where small businesses can grow and succeed. And whereas advocacy groups and private organizations across the nation endorse the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, a day dedicated to supporting small, locally owned businesses. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Smith, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, Arizona, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday and encourage all residents of our community to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday, celebrating its 15th year in 2024, and continue shopping small businesses on this day and in the future. And I have a proclamation for all of the businesses that came forward that have the same words on it. So let's give our small businesses a hand. We need to squeeze in. All right, they're yelling at me because our next one is our Maricopa Citizen Leadership Academy, and they like to shake their hands too. So we're going to come back down. And thank you very much, Luis. You're leading this effort.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just really excited to say that we have just completed the 24th session of the Maricopa Citizen Leadership Academy. Over 20 individuals have completed this session and are joining a class of over 400 people who have completed the Citizen Leadership Academy since its inception. For those of you who may not know, the Maricopa Citizen Leadership Academy gives individuals an in-depth insight on the inner workings of our local government, allows you to speak with members of our city council, senior leadership, and gives you insight into the history of Maricopa, how our public safety works, finances, and economic development. So without further ado, I'd like to invite those who completed the fall 2024 session up to receive their certificates. And as you guys come up, please stay up here so we can take a couple nice photographs. All right. Oh wow, everyone's already here. Makes my life easy. No kidding. All right. Well, Kenneth Brisbane. Thank you. Kenneth. Okay, I'm not here. Tanika Drake. Denise Faulkner. Bonnie Garrison. Robert Garrison. Robert Giuseppe. Joshua Gindry. I don't think he's here today. Christian Glover. Patricia Glover. Roberta Height. Keith Killian. Adam Leach. Jacqueline Mason. Martha Myers. Terry Oldfield. Roland Parker. Devin Pitcher. Ida Ross. Aja Smith. Rebecca Stewart. And Jessica Thomas.
All right, that'll take us to the report from the mayor and city council. Council members, vice mayor, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Councilmember Manfredi? Oh, you look like, okay. Okay, Councilmember Marsh.
Yes, good crowd here tonight. This is a very exciting time of year for me. This is our planning cycle start. This is where we start to do the planning for the next fiscal year budget and development projects and so forth. It's also the part of a 10-year cycle that we're required to do by the state of Arizona. We have to update our general plan. Now, our general plan covers all the land from Gila River Tribe 4 miles south of I-8 and all the way from Casa Grande to the Maricopa County border. It does include Hidden Valley even. So we're looking for inputs. Now, I presented this to the Senior Advisory Committee because as the old guy on City Council, I want to get the seniors' inputs. But I want to get your inputs too. So I've got some forms here, questionnaires, with some easy questions for you to answer and hand back to City Hall or the Community Center before December 1st. We want to hear your inputs. It's questions like, what have been Maricopa's greatest successes over the past 10 years? And what are the biggest challenges Maricopa faces today? What's your biggest concern for the future of Maricopa? So please stop by after the meeting and pick up a sheet and take your time, fill it out over Thanksgiving, and get it back to City Hall or the Community Center by December 1st. We want to hear your opinions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Marsh. Councilmember Manfredi.
It's been a long couple of weeks. I missed last council meeting, so I got a ton. Nah, I'm joking. I won't say that much. I sat here and I listened to Small Business Saturday, and it's great when people are shopping locally. And Small Business Saturday is a wonderful thing. So shop at your local businesses. It's very important, small businesses. But it's equally important that you're shopping at all businesses in the city of Maricopa, because a small business might not offer the lumber you need, right? Ace Hardware offers some lumber as well as Home Depot. So Home Depot is not known as a small business, but Home Depot, when you buy something in Home Depot in Maricopa versus buying something in Home Depot in Casa Grande or Chandler, what you're doing is you're directing the money that you're buying in sales taxes to the city of Maricopa, right? Because we have a sales tax here. So when you're buying stuff here in the city of Maricopa, regardless of whether it's a small business or a large business, and as a small businessman myself, shop as much small business as you can. I'll give you my number, but I'm joking. But large business, gas, the water heater that you're going to buy, and in the past that might have been a hard thing to do in the city of Maricopa, but now it's not. We have a Home Depot. We have clothing stores here. We have home stores like stuff that's stuff for your house at Marshall's and things like that. So when you do your Christmas shopping, you don't necessarily have to leave Maricopa. You can buy here and make sure you're directing money that you're going to spend anyway to the city of Maricopa so that we can do things that you want to do, things like street improvements and services that you want to have. So please make sure that you're doing as much shopping in the city of Maricopa, both at small businesses, large businesses, big purchases, and small purchases as you possibly can. The city tries to do that also, but of course, obviously, there's some things like if you wanted to buy furniture. Oh wait, we now have a furniture store. So we do have one over there by Fry's. So like, there's some things you just can't buy here. So obviously, you're going to go somewhere else. But when you can, shop in the city of Maricopa. I was just recently out of the country. It was my first real time leaving the country, and I saw a lot of communities where I went, and I was in Italy and Greece, and you saw how the people worked with each other, and you saw how they would go to each other's businesses. And when I talked to small businesses, because obviously that's what I do for a living, I talk to small businesses all the time. So when I talk to business owners and you find out that the lifeblood of, even in tourist areas, the lifeblood of any business is the people who live there, the people who are there all the time. So make yourself the lifeblood of the businesses in the city of Maricopa, whether small or big, and make sure you're taking care of it. Well, that's all I had to say.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Manfredi. Vice Mayor Lehrman.
Mayor, November is Native American Heritage Month, and the theme this year is honoring our nations, building strength through resilience. And I just want to thank the contributions and enduring strength to our Native American citizens that live here in Maricopa. And also I want to wish the Marine Corps a happy birthday. Their birthday was November 10th, so happy birthday to the Marine Corps. And then lastly, Mayor, did you hear that Wetzel Pretzel opened?
You told me.
Yeah, I'm hearing it from a lot of people that they're very excited that Wetzel Pretzel has opened in Maricopa.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Mayor Lehrman. So I have a few things. I think I'll try to narrow it down because it has been a long stint since our last city council meeting. Some of these are really important. Just so you know, today Channel 5 came out and did an interview with myself, and they were interested in an article that a resident sent them regarding the lack of feasibility for State Route 347. That was the terminology that they used. And so I made it very clear when they came out and interviewed me that they needed to make sure they interpreted it correctly. Basically, the PRTA, if you've seen the article, the board that makes decisions for the PRTA, which is the Pinal Public Transportation Association, they decided that the culmination of all the projects that were submitted from all residents in Pinal County, all communities in Pinal County, far exceeded the amount of money that the half-cent sales tax was going to provide over a 20-year period. So they actually made the recommendation that the PRTA at this point with that magnitude of projects wasn't feasible, not that 347 expansion is not feasible. I'm here to tell you 347 expansion is feasible, and things are happening. If I always tell you, go to 347facts.com to understand what projects are up and coming, what's actually happening. But it is very feasible. So please don't misinterpret the word feasible or not feasible, because you have to understand it definitely in the context that it was made. I did attend the ADOT State Transportation Board meeting on Friday, and I go to as many of them as I can in person, and I attend online when I can't go in person. This time around, I don't know if you saw the article, but it was basically the 10 deadliest intersections in, not Arizona, Western United States. 10 deadliest intersection in Western United States. You can find that article on AZ Family. And basically, 2 of the 10 intersections that are the most dangerous, deadliest intersection happen on 347. You probably didn't need me to tell you that, right? And so I made this abundantly clear to the State Transportation Board meeting that this is something that needs to be addressed. This is a serious problem. And they appreciated the article. I gave them the article, and they appreciated knowing that. And so we're trying every direction possible to make headway. Another important meeting that I had, I attended a meeting with Governor Lewis and Councilmember White of the Gila River Indian community. And the sole purpose of the conversation was to talk about how we partner for solutions on State Route 347. And that is physical solutions in terms of construction, and then also billboard solution. And they were open to both of those conversations. They were also open to talking more about the Green Road Loop and the Seed Farm Road project. But highest on their priority as well is State Route 347, and that's so important to us. So it was a great conversation, opened up the door, and we plan on just really making that relationship stronger and stronger and stronger. But I was really encouraged by their support. And I have one last comment on 340, two more comments on 347. I have 2 meetings coming up this week with state legislators talking about State Route 347 and the needs and the urgency for those needs. But for me, the fascinating part was that one of the legislators, I'm normally with Katie out there asking for meetings. We want to make sure that our state legislators understand the importance. This time was different. I actually had a state legislator reach out to myself and Katie, and that's different. That's taking notice of things that are happening. And if you're one of those people that haven't sent your message to 94 elected and appointed leaders in the state of Arizona on the need for 347, please go to 347facts.com to do that. It's very important, and it's sending a message. That's why this one state legislator contacted Katie and myself. They're aware of the problem. Over 800 letters have gone to them. And then lastly, the Rural Transportation Summit, a big focus on funding. I continue to challenge our legislators to find a solution for transportation funding. Do you know we're one of 14 states that haven't found a solution to filling the gaps? That's terrible. The rest of the states have found a solution to filling the gap in funding for transportation. We're one of 14. We got to do better than that. So I'm constantly encouraging our state legislators to figure out the problem, look at these other states, figure out how to solve this problem. I'm sorry, what? He says to me, who's Katie? Katie is our InterGov, sitting back there in the beautiful green shirt. Okay, so basically, I also attended the Women Hope Center walk through the life of decisions of a youth, handling domestic violence. I'm telling you, if you want to get an idea of what it's like to be a youth or even an adult going through domestic violence, that is one of the best experiences you can do. Go up to the Women's Hope Center, ask them if you can walk through the life of a domestic violence person. Very dramatic for me. And then I also attended the Seed of Change Gala for domestic violence. Domestic violence was well addressed in the city of Maricopa last month. And that just is phenomenal because we don't want to keep secrets about domestic violence. We want them to have resources and know where to go. So it's really important. I also attended a Maricopa High School swim team meet, had no idea the talent that we have in terms of swimming in the city of Maricopa by our youth. Pretty phenomenal, pretty fantastic, and so I appreciate the invitation to come and do that. The Veterans Parade. If you didn't hit the Veterans Parade, you missed a great opportunity. It was phenomenal. They had well over 200 entries. It was very exciting, and then they did a lunch afterwards for the veterans, which was just simply lovely. I want to personally thank Apex and the Dwarf Car Museum because they both provided very sweet rides for myself and council member. I mean, it was pretty cool. So I appreciate them and for their participation. Then we had a brand new church open, and the reason I bring that up is because they have a phenomenal youth program where in 17 locations they reach 23,000 youth in their 17 locations in the state. Pretty amazing. And they bring about community. And that's the real purpose of bringing it up. If you're looking for a community in our city, churches are the best place to go, one of the best places to go. So I want to encourage you. And then the Be Awesome Fairy Tea Party. I took my little 3-year-old to a little tea party. It was really adorable, but Be Awesome does such a great job in terms of reaching out to young people. The Good Ark Animal Sanctuary. We have now an animal sanctuary close by the city, just down the road on Papago Road. It was a phenomenal experience, all kinds of animals, but this beautiful turkey presented itself, all in full feathers and everything. He was beautiful. Go down there. I think the cost to get in is $5. It's very affordable and great opportunities for volunteering. And then Jump for Wellness, which is a mobile physical therapy. But new business in town had their ribbon cutting, and that's enough. I have a few more, but it's such a blessing to be a part of a community where there's so much going on and so much to celebrate, and I always want to make sure I draw attention to those new businesses in town. And then for you to know that things are happening on 347. We're working very hard, and yeah, that's enough on 347 too. Okay. So that's your report from the council, and that'll take us to the report from City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. And thank you, Mayor, as you did that proclamation for sharing the information about our retail leakage. Wanted to dive a little bit more into that and just provide a few of the subcategories and talk about the impact for us as we do day-to-day work with economic development and how that applies in our day-to-day work. The $1.3 billion that Maricopa residents spend outside of our community obviously is a loss of sales tax dollars for us here in Maricopa, but more importantly, it's that loss of economic activity. And so when we're looking at opportunities to seek new retailers to come in or help our existing retailers expand, we look at some of those subcategories from this report that we've received and say, okay, where are some of our largest deficiencies? And so just by way of example, a few of those, we leak about $280 million a year in motor vehicle sales. So if you think about it, that's at $50,000 a car, that's about 6,000 new cars per year that Maricopa residents are buying outside of Maricopa. Obviously, there's not a large car dealership here, or for new vehicles. Those kind of things are points that we don't have. And so when we look to attract people to our community, those are one of the data points that we use. For example, $27 million in miscellaneous stores or retail, $121 million in food service, and $89 million in grocery stores. Those are the types of things that we look at in those reports, the subcategories that say, hey, if we have an opportunity to go talk to a major grocery store, we can say, not only do we see this in our community, but here's a study that shows that we do not have adequate services within our community or sufficient, or there's still room for us to grow. And so we certainly appreciate all of those that we're trying to help them grow in every way we can. Obviously, the 7 times turnover, if that were true, if that number is actual, then that $1.3 billion of leakage would represent $9 billion of economic activity within our community. If we had $9 billion of additional economic activity here in Maricopa, imagine the jobs, imagine the wealth that is generated amongst our businesses, something we certainly strive for and love to see. So just thought I'd add a little context to that. The second one that I'd like to bring up and mention, I think the largest construction project we have going on now, or most bothersome in many respects, is the Smith-Inkey intersection. Just to provide an update of that, we try to keep our website as updated as possible. So even if you went on Google and just searched Maricopa Smith-Inky intersection, the very first result is our website that provides an update to our citizens as to where we stand. We produced numerous videos and posted those on social media. We want to keep those going and informed. If you noticed in the last week or two, you've started to see some real progress. We've gotten through the utility work. Sidewalks started getting poured this morning. Curb and gutter is in. You'll start to see paving following the Thanksgiving part of the year. New traffic signals will go up, and then we'll switch over to the west side of the intersection and work over there as well. All in all, we expect that project to wrap up in spring, and so we're excited for what that means for the community. Hopefully that adds value where we can get more people through the intersection and faster and more efficient ways, less of a backup than we've experienced over the course of the past few years. So really excited for that to come to fruition. Excited that the city was able to take over control of that intersection a couple of years ago from ADOT and really start to chart our own course and really take control of our future. So excited for that improvement, and with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, City Manager Bitter. Appreciate that. Now we'll go to the call to the public. Let me share a little bit of information with you regarding the call to the public. Address the council. Our council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action is appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council and may ask staff to review a matter or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, and very important, members of the council shall not discuss and take legal action on any matter during the open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. And so at this point, I do have one speaker card, so I'd like to call up Mr. Barry McCain.
Good evening, Mayor Smith, City Council. I'm Barry McCain, citizen of Maricopa, born and raised. At this time, as Americans, we must come together responsibly as a republic and not accusing each other and putting our country's survival in danger and making our enemy stronger. We now have a U.S. Constitution written by our ancestors freeing us from the slavery of England. I come before you standing firmly on my First Amendment rights to free speech, a right that, based on my own experiences, a cabal on this city council appears determined to undermine. Despite the protection laid out by Reed versus Town of Gilbert 2015, whereas the U.S. Supreme Court struck down content-based restrictions on speech, and Acosta versus City of Costa Mesa 2013, where the Ninth Circuit ruled that silencing dissenting voices at a public meeting is unconstitutional. This council seems to employ roundabout methods to accomplish precisely that, as your call of the public parameters are unconstitutional. Public officials do not get to pick and choose which voices are allowed in this chamber. The Constitution is clear. Dissent is not just a right, but an essential to the democratic process. The esteemed black author James Baldwin said, in order to change a situation, one must see it for what it is. The citizens of Maricopa deserve leaders who respect free speech, who welcome scrutiny, who understand that criticism is not a threat but a necessary tool for better governance. This country is a republic, not a monarchy. After 24 years of Sheriff Joe Pyle and 8 years of Sheriff Babu, which led to malicious, inhumane treatment, as a citizen for a Better Arizona activist, I see the same playbook being used, plus because of repeated intended disrespect, cronyism, and nepotism, which ultimately leads to bribery and human suffrage, among others. I humbly respect and ask Mayor Smith to resign. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. Appreciate that. That will be the end of our speaker cards. Do we have anyone from the audience who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am, please come forward.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I wanted to address Councilmember Marsh's comment about the general plan.
Could you just state your name, please?
Oh, I apologize. Susan Bonsante. I live in Glenwild. You had mentioned the general plan and that we could submit comment cards. Will there be a formal citizens committee that is available, put together?
My understanding is yes.
Okay. Do you know any further details? When will that have to be completed? Because my understanding is the general plan is something that the citizens vote on, yet very few people in our community know anything about it, and it is always leaned upon when decisions are made in our community.
We're not able to answer questions, but if you would give your information to Rick, he will take that and answer your questions.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I did previously ask through email, and I didn't get a response. Not to Rick, but
okay.
Anyway, it's been a question I've had for a while. So.
That's a great question, and he would be happy to give you that information.
Okay. Would it be possible, though, that the council members could explain what the general plan is?
We can't respond to something that's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll look into putting it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would anyone else like to approach? Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Jim DiVenezia. I'm Community Support Specialist with the Police Department. And I'm here just very briefly just to give some information about what the Police Department is doing for the holiday season. We all know, or at least we should know, what the Police Department is doing to help us have a safe Maricopa. But there's a softer side of the Maricopa Police Department that I'm honored to see every single day with the officers that we have, with the recruits coming aboard. And there's two projects in particular that I'd like the City Council to know, and also the residents to know about too. The Shop of the Cop is going to be on December 7th, where there's 25 underprivileged kids whose families cannot provide the Christmases that they would want for their children. So they went through this police department went through the process of vetting and selecting 25, and that will be December 7th. We'll be meeting over at the LDS Church, have breakfast, get a police escort over to Walmart, and shop to their heart's dream. We also had this past week two people that contacted me, two residents from the city that asked if they would donate money to Shop with the Cop. We've received two donations for $1,500 total. So it's the kind of spirit that we have here in the city. There is also a project, Mayor, you alluded to domestic violence. Last year we had an angel tree put over in the lobby with Against Abuse. Against Abuse has a shelter here in the city of Maricopa and also in Casa Grande, and they provide very supportive services for victims and survivors. This year again, what we're going to do, we're asked again to have another angel tree, but instead of just the 20 angels that we had last year, we're going to have 30 angels that are going to be in the lobby over at the police department. And Chief Patassi has agreed to have 20 more angels brought over to the fire administration. So we're having a total of 50 with support from Chief Goodman, Chief Patassi, and just want to let the community know that Maricopa Police Department's part of the community and will always remain a part. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. And under 3 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to approach the podium? Seeing none, I will close the call to the public, and that'll take us to the consent agenda. This evening, we have consent agenda items 7.1 through 7-11. I have no speaker cards this evening. Council members, do you have any questions, concerns, issues that you'd like to address?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please, Councilmember Gettle.
I would like to recommend we pull 7.7 for further discussion. I have a couple of questions regarding the proposal.
Okay, very good. So we're looking to pull 7.7. Any other additional comments, questions? Would someone make a motion?
I'll second that.
Well, that wasn't a
Oh,
motion. Would
okay.
someone make a motion to approve the consent minus 7.7?
I motion that we approve the consent agenda minus 7.7.
I second. And seconded by Vice Mayor Learman. Any additional questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That'll take us to 7.7 then. And Councilmember Gettle, I will turn this over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to recognize our staff's wonderful job in trying to reduce some of the restrictions. Those of us who maybe not have read the proposed amendment, this is amendments to Title 18 zoning, and it has to do with backyard fowl, namely chickens. We just actually passed 7.6, which does authorize a plot size of 35 feet by 85 feet. This proposal on 7.7 would hold a 20-foot setback to any property size. So basically, you'd have to have at least a 40-foot property width to have a 0-foot wide chicken coop, if you see what I'm trying to say. So this would effectively eliminate the ability for some homeowners here in our city with backyards to have any type of fowl currently. So I would like to make the proposal tonight, because the spirit is to make this less restrictive, is if we could simply strike the number 3 change, which reads, fowl shall be kept in an enclosure located in the rear side yard of the property at least 20 feet from a neighboring property, and restrict the size of the enclosure to a maximum of 200 square feet with a minimum height of 8 feet. If we could strike that and allow the current ordinance to stand, which would allow for a setback of 10 feet, a minimum of 10 feet, that would allow some wiggle room for some of those smaller lots that we just approved. So that's my proposal. I welcome any other discussion, and I see Rick's here to answer any questions too that we might have.
May I also ask, so there also was a capacity of the facility that would be put in place and a height restriction. Do you have a recommendation for that as well?
As is written on number 3, I have no problem with the maximums 200 square foot nor the height of 8 feet. That would be fine. My concern is the setback requirement of 20 feet, which is infeasible.
Very good.
Not feasible for a smaller lot.
Very good.
Mayor, council members, if I might, that's Senate Bill 2523, I believe it is. We took that word for word from what the state passed down for us as a recommendation. I agree with your premise there, council member, and what I would suggest, if approved by Dennis and Mr. Bitters, simply change that 20-foot requirement back to 10 and keep the other provisions of the requirement the way it was written.
So my question would be, does the 10 feet meet the requirement in the new bill?
Mayor, really good question, and again, I would defer to Mr. Bitters and Mr. Fitzgibbons. I believe we have the latitude to amend that. It doesn't quote it as a minimum or a maximum. I believe it actually uses the word may.
Correct.
So if we wanted to keep that standard the same and reduce it to 10 feet versus 20 foot, I think that would be appropriate.
Yes, City Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I would say that this is sometimes we sometimes are the victim of a flawed legislative process. And often when we are making the sausage at the legislature, there are a lot of rules that go back and forth, or a lot of proposals that go back and forth, and sometimes the ultimate draft that gets passed is not perfect. And that's really what we're kind of the victim of here. We're trying to comply with the new state statute. The real theory behind the discussion at the legislature was, how do we find ways to make backyard fowl more accessible? And so as we talked about that as staff and with Councilmember Gettle as well, I think the discussion has been, how do we get to a point where we are following the intent of the statute as well as the letter to the best of our ability, given the fact that there may be some confusion in terms of that statute and what it may mean. And so I think as we look at our existing section D3, which talks about chicken coops shall not be closer than 10 feet, I think there are some good things in there, particularly that limitation to 10 feet. And the ability for residential lots versus commercial lots or adjacent to alleyways or other things. But I also think the proposed Section 3 has some good things in there that I think could probably be considered, such as being kept in an enclosure in the rear or side yard, and then restricting the size of the enclosure, as you all mentioned, to a maximum of 200 square feet and with a maximum height of 8 feet. And so I think maybe a hybrid version here may be the best thing that we can do, if that's the desire of the council. Maybe I've given Dennis enough time to craft something here.
Mayor, members of the council, I mean, I think we could just change 20 to 10. Does that work for you, Councilmember Gettle? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, my only point of contention would be that 20-foot limit, that setback requirement.
Right, it almost eliminate it for a 40-foot yard. So 10, I think would be appropriate if council wants to.
Yeah, let me ask for additional feedback. Council, any comments? Yes, Vice Mayor?
I agree that it should be the least restrictive to our community members.
Very good. Anyone else?
10
Councilmember Marsh?
10 feet sounds right.
Okay. So, Councilmember Gettle, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2412 with the amended D3 section to include a setback of at least 10 feet, which is the current ordinance, from a neighboring property, leaving the rest of that unstricken.
Very good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Lehrman. Any additional comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that'll take us to our regular agenda item. First item on is the appointment of 2407, which is an appointment to a citizen to fill the vacancy on the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Board. This is an appointment by the mayor and with the help of Councilmember Gettle, who acts as the liaison for this board. We interviewed 3 different people, and let me tell you, all 3 applicants were phenomenal. We had a good selection to fill this very important seat. Ultimately, we have our guest tonight, Jim Hart. Would you please stand? I would like to make the recommendation that we appoint Jim Hart to this board and look for your comments. City Council member? Okay, seconded by Councilmember Wade. Any other additional questions, comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations. That'll take us to 8.2, which is a resolution, and we have a presentation by Richard. We've seen a lot of you tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Rick Williams. I'm with the Planning Department here, and I'm standing in for Alex Bosworth, who unfortunately is no longer with the city. He's moved on to Tempe, if y'all hadn't heard. But we're real excited about talking to you tonight about a major general plan amendment and rezone for a future sports complex. More specifically, 4.89 acres that are located just south of, I don't have the screen up, so I can't, Bolin Road, just north of the Copper Sky complex. And we have 2 city-initiated requests for you this evening. One is a minor general plan amendment, and the other being a rezone for the same parcel of land, which is outlined in black and yellow for you up there. Let's talk first about the minor general plan amendment, and if I could direct your attention to the 2 exhibits up there. More specifically, the current designation on the left, you'll notice that there are 2 land use designations for this site. Half of it is mixed use, the other half of it is employment. So if approved this evening, we would bring a consistent land use designation of public institutional for that same location. With respect to the zone change, currently the subject site is zone transitional zoning, and I would point out that a sports complex in the transitional zoning is a permitted use. However, our general plan and our zoning aren't coinciding with each other. So again, we're asking you this evening, with your approval, to amend the land zoning map, and we'll go with public institution on this as well.
Very good. Thank you very much. This is an open public hearing. Do we have anyone in the audience who would, I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to approach the podium and speak on this item? Very good. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council members, do you have any questions, comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Motion
To approve by Councilmember Noor. Do I have a
Second.
second? Seconded by Councilmember Marsh. Any additional concerns, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Rick, is there anything different for 8.3?
Madam Mayor, council members, no, there is not.
Okay, thank you very much. So, council, are there any questions, concerns for Rick on 8.3?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Gettle, is there a second? Seconded by Vice Mayor Lehrman. Additional opportunity to speak. All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And that brings us to the end of our city council. Thank you for being here.